What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Doubt and Devotion podcast. I am your co-host, Billy G.
What's going on, guys? I'm Jared.
And today we're going to be speaking about the unspoken truths of adulthood.
It's a big one to unpack, but I feel like very relatable.
Yeah, because I feel like I remember being a child, right? And I had two very straight-laced parents, who definitely had it all. At least to me, it looked like they had it all together. And then as I've grown up and I understand them now on an adult level, I realized that they were just kind of figuring it out, you know, just like me.
Yeah. So I had the same concept of my parents, and it's like you assume that they know everything, they
Right.
have their life together, and outside looking in, it definitely seemed that way. And I definitely had I had a good childhood.
I did too. I have literally nothing to complain about.
Yeah, agreed.
My dad was a police officer for most of my childhood. He retired when I was 6 or 7 years old, but then he stayed working for security, and now he works for the state attorney's office. So he's been involved in public service essentially his whole life. So to me, that's the pillar of stability. I mean, you're working for the government, constant steady paychecks. My mom was a small business owner, super successful small business owner, would have people fly in from around the country to get worked on by her. So by all accounts, when I'm looking at it, it's we had a middle class house in Deerfield Beach, Florida, with 2 cars in the driveway. It all looked really good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But once you get to adulthood, you quickly realize that most people are winging it. They're learning on the fly.
And it's not most, it's all. All people are actually winging it. I was going through Instagram one day. This was a couple years back, and someone wrote be easy on your parents because it's their first time living life too, and that struck me, man. It hit me like a freight train, because my whole life I've always thought I could just call my dad or my mom, and they will most likely have the answer that I need, And as I've grown up and gone through a lot of horrible things, I come to realize that they don't necessarily have all the answers either.
Yeah. A lot of stuff you have to figure out on your own.
For sure. Or they're figuring it out with me.
Yeah.
I think once I've become an adult, going through my addiction, they had no clue how to handle that.
Yeah.
Just zero clue how to handle that, which no one could blame them. You don't get taught that stuff. There's no parent book that you're given, right? There's no adult book that you're given when you're 18 years old. It's just hey dude, there's the world. Go figure it out. Yeah.
The main thing for me that I think of is the lack of tools that they had when it comes to being parents. Think about all the stuff that we have, technology-based stuff, the internet, all the Chat GPT. Chat GPT can be our parents, our therapists, our accountants. It could be anything we want it to be. I don't recommend that.
Yes, definitely don't do that.
I lean on it a little too much, if I'm honest.
I think a lot of people do.
Yeah. But you got to be careful. Got to be careful with ChatGPT too. But the lack of tools, we have all this stuff, and it's still hard.
Yes. Think about when me and you were kids. And I want to say this, anybody who grew up in the 90s and early 2000s, we had the best childhood. I don't care what anybody says. It's not up for debate. I don't want to hear comments, people bitching and moaning. We had the best childhood because we had just the right amount of technology. It was the perfect amount of technology to make our lives a little bit better, but not completely run our lives. You know what I mean? I think of my kids today, and dude, there's a lot of technology out there. I have to really be the person who steps between my kids and the technology. Because if not, it just overruns their whole life, right? Whereas I think our parents, the little technology they did have or we did have helped them. And you know what I mean? We had TV, video games,
Game Boy.
But there wasn't a phone in every pocket.
Yeah.
The internet was, a weird place. It was kind of hard to get on. You had to dial up.
Dial up, baby.
Yeah, man. It wasn't hey, I just pull out my phone. I got the entire world at my
wherever I
fingertips.
want.
Yeah.
And that's, I think, is the main concern for us as parents is you do have to be that barrier because of that. It has internet connection.
Yeah.
All these games, I hear all these horror stories about Roblox, and I'm not at them. Luca's only 5.
Yeah.
So I'm not at that age, but he's already asking about it.
Oh, dude. So look, I let Charlotte play Roblox, okay? But there are guidelines that I have with her, okay? So first of all, you can set the age restrictions. So she can't go over a certain amount with the games. And I turn off the chat. The chat is unacceptable. And she knows that if she turns the chat on, I'll just pull the game completely from her. So she's not able to interact with any other humans, like texting them or anything. She just interacts with the little avatars in the game.
Yeah. Which makes sense. And it's perfectly fine. We had to. I noticed when we came to a point where we limited screen time for Luca, his behavior shift was
changed.
It was unreal. I had no idea the effect it was having on his behavior until we cut down screen time.
Yes,
we were at a point where he was watching TV, not whenever he wanted, but often.
Solid amount,
during the week. Like that was our, we used that as a cop out, as a distraction, so we could relax and not have to be helicopter parents. Because I definitely suffer from the helicopter dad. Because you have to be to an extent. You know, but when
the world is different today than it was when we were kids. It is. It's a much different place.
When we adjusted and we went to, like, he only gets his iPad for trips, like if he's on a plane or if it's like a long, like we did the Bright Line, he had his iPad. And now it's at a point where it's like a treat, compared to it started to get to where he just used it when he wanted. So it wasn't as much of a treat that you could kind of, because sometimes you could leverage it, Oh,
look, I let Charlotte use the iPad every day, okay, but not in the way you think. So like, there are a certain amount of things that she needs to do within a day in order to use the iPad, okay, and like generally I don't allow it when we're eating dinner. Like I have it to where there are time settings on it, so after a certain time, it just doesn't work. I'm like, oops, iPad just doesn't work, honey. Sorry. And before a certain time in the morning, it just doesn't work. And then that way there's no arguing it. I would say she has a certain time period in which the iPad is accessible. And then other than that, the iPad just doesn't work for her. And thank God those type of parent settings exist, because the way I tell her is I make it to where like I'm not the one who set that up. The iPad sets that up.
Blame the that's Apple,
like,
honey.
Sorry, babe. That's just the way it goes.
That's Apple. Don't blame Daddy. To go back to the parents thing, right? Like when talking about our parents, I feel like stability is just one aspect, one layer of being an adult. And then you see, like, you assume that once you reach a successful level that your problems kind of go away, but you don't, that's not the case.
Or how about deciding what you want to do with your life? I mean, that was a humongous thing for me. I remember graduating at 18 and I had no college aspirations. I didn't apply anywhere. I didn't even take the SATs. I didn't do any of that. And I was just like, I guess I'm just going to go to work. And I started working a lot of odd jobs. I feel like I've done like every job on the planet.
Yeah, I was the same.
And it was mainly just trying to figure out what is it that I want to do. Because I remember asking my mom, I was like, she had like this crazy successful skincare business. She still does. And I remember asking her, like, when did you know you wanted to pick people's faces? You know what I mean? Like, how did you come to the conclusion that that was what your job was going to be? And she was just like, I don't know, man. I just kind of fell into it.
That's what happened to me.
Yeah, she's like, I just kind of fell into it. So I was like, well, that's great information. I'm glad she told me that. But like, how do I go about achieving that? Yeah, exactly. It was kind of like, I still didn't know which direction to go in, And like I said, my dad has worked for the state of Florida since he was like an adult, you know what I mean? So his path was relatively easy too. So I just kind of felt like I didn't know how to get into anything. So I just kind of tried everything, you know what I mean? And there was a lot of failures, a lot of figuring out like, man, I hated doing that. That was awful, And then I finally found, kind of my niche. But dude, it took till I was like 26, 27 to really even start to figure out what I wanted to do. That's a lot of time between high school graduation and then.
And I think that's super common. Obviously, I went through the same thing.
Yeah.
And we kind of fell into what we're both currently doing around the same timeline. If you think about it, like where I really got established in what I do now.
Yeah. I mean, dude, you were like stocking shelves at Publix for a while.
I was with 3 jobs.
Yeah.
3 jobs. And that was my plan. So my dad was a store manager at Publix for 40 years.
Again, super consistent,
stable,
very safe.
Yes. So that was my plan. Like I was going to follow those footsteps. I remember the exact day where I had a meeting with the store manager and he's like, it's not a matter of if you're going to be in this seat. It's a matter of when. And for whatever reason, that triggered something in me where I was like, I don't want that.
Yeah.
And I put my 2 weeks in probably like a week or 2 after that. And I remember that the whole store was pissed because like you had to fight to get a full-time position at that time.
Yeah.
And I just got promoted to full-time over some other people. They were so pissed at me. But I happened to fall into what I do now. You know, it was never part of the plan.
Yeah, so funny you say that because I had a kind of a similar situation. I was working for Sports Authority right when I was like starting to kind of clean my act up. I was like 25, 26. And same deal. They promoted me very quickly. Like I was like the backroom guy, and then I was like the backroom manager, and then I was the shoe and clothing manager. Like I was moving up really fast. Same deal. They were like, look, you're going to be the sales manager soon, and then you'll likely be a store manager soon. And then Sports Authority filed Chapter 11 bankruptcy.
Thank God.
Yeah.
Thank God.
Yeah. Yeah.
What year did that happen? Do you know?
Happened
I feel like it's been a while
2015,
now.
I think is when they announced it. Yes. And I remember being like, oh, man. You know, I was like feeling really good about it, too. I was like, I knew this store like the back of my hand. I knew exactly what to do. Like it was comfortable, you know, I was making like not great money, but like it was stable money and like there was a clear trajectory. And then they filed bankruptcy and they're like, yeah, so everybody's getting fired and we got to start clearing the store out. And I was like, dang, what do I do, dude? You know? And I had a friend who I no longer even speak to. And he remember he DM'd me and he was like, hey, we got a job opening at Blackstone Labs. Like, you should just come apply, you know, see what happens. And like, I kind of went there thinking like, you know,
something temporary.
We'll see, yeah. And here I am 10 years later, you know, like running the company, you know, being a pillar of the company. And it's wild because just like my mom said, I just kind of fell into it.
Again, same with me. Yeah. You don't just, it's so niche what I do that like, most people have no idea.
The only way people know what you do is from the silly song that used to
and
be
they still don't know what
kids.
it is.
Yeah, exactly.
It's my money. Like everyone knows the jingle.
Of course.
You know, but like structured settlements, anytime I go to tell someone what I do, a lot of times they assume I'm saying construction. And I'm like, no. And I just give up most times.
Of course. And I've had people ask me what you do. And I'm like, honestly, it's hard to explain.
So I never planned it, you know, and thank God it worked out. But I was in the same confused state, and I feel like that's super common.
Definitely.
And if anything, it's becoming more common nowadays because you know all these people that get degrees, and they don't even use those degrees. I know tons,
plenty of people who like went to school, did the whole deal, and they're not doing anything close to what they basically put themselves in six-figure debt for.
Major debt.
Yeah.
That most people never get out of.
Crazy.
You know, and this is not to deter anyone from going to college. If that's what you feel you need to do, and that's what you want to do, and you're confident in your degree, go for it. But like, I've never been a major believer in it.
Me neither. And I feel like our generation was really pushed, at least my parents really pushed the college thing. And they're like, the key to all your success lies in that building. And like, I feel like today, that is just so not true.
Agreed.
Like you absolutely, that there are certain things you 1000% need to go to college for. Being a doctor, being a lawyer, being these main things in society that require engineers, that require tons of education because frankly, your life, people's lives are in your hands. You know what I mean? It's very important that you know exactly what you're doing, right? But I feel like there's a large portion of the population who can fall right into society, you know, and start figuring out what they want to do and then just kind of fall into something and then get really good at that thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So my thing now, especially now that I understand like what caused me to be good and structured, which is just a sales background. Like sales, in my opinion,
sales is very broad.
It's so
very broad because I'm in sales too, but we do very different things.
Yeah. Majority of jobs, like majority of people don't even realize that they are in sales. You know, like even jobs that are not considered sales, you're constantly selling people.
Yes.
So now I'm so happy that I have this background because God forbid something happens, the courts no longer allow this to happen or whatever. I know that I could pivot into any sales job.
That's correct.
Any sales job.
Yes.
So I would say that if someone is confused, that's what I would be focusing on is getting sales skills.
Yeah, because in my belief, sales is one of the highest paying positions you can get with zero education. Zero. You could be a high school dropout, honestly.
And most times there's no ceiling.
The ceiling you can only find is based on your own workload, you know, and based on your own capacity.
You put into it.
Yes. And there's usually those type of people who work under them and they build big big teams. Like that's what you start to see in the sales world. But I completely agree with you. I'm a salesman at heart. You know, it's what I do. I feel like I can sell anything, especially at this point in my life. When I was younger, I feel like when I was younger, I didn't have as much confidence in that ability. I was so afraid of people saying no.
Yeah,
and I think that's what holds people back from sales.
100%.
They get so afraid of someone just telling them no. Fuck it. If someone says no, move on.
Yeah.
There are like 8 billion people.
Yeah, it's a numbers game. And no matter what job you're in, it's a numbers game.
Absolutely, man.
So my main thing was I just assumed that you had to be like this super outgoing extrovert, and that's not me at all.
Yeah.
Like I will talk to people once they talk to me.
Yeah.
But outside of that, I'm not the person that's like the life of the party, going and introducing myself to people and talking and being an extrovert. That's not me.
Yeah.
So that kind of made me assume that I wouldn't be good at that.
Right.
But it's the furthest thing from the truth.
Yeah.
And me having no sales experience and being completely green was my biggest benefit.
Yeah.
Because the saying you can't teach a old dog new tricks is like very true when it comes to sales.
For sure.
I've had so many people try to come work for me that were these glorified salesmen that came from a completely different background, and they're like, "Oh, I'm gonna kill it. I'm gonna do X." I'm like, it's not put the cart before the horse. Let's get in the doors. Let's see what you got.
Yeah.
And the issue is exactly what I said. You can't. They don't want to learn.
Yeah.
They assume they know everything.
Yeah.
And it's the biggest downfall.
Well, I think everybody wants success immediately.
Yeah. Well, that's another issue, is the instant gratification that we're so reliant on is a big issue.
Well, I think that falls right into another hard truth, is like, we live in a world today where we see a lot of other people's lives. Okay. Back in the day or so, I mean, think about even when we were kids, we had a handful of friends. You saw them in person. That was really it. I mean, at any given point, you can open your phone and see 100, 200 people's lives. Okay. Like at least what they're showing of their life. And a lot of times people are showing this massive level of success, right? Even and especially very early on in their lives. I see 21-year-olds, 20-year-olds posting their, BMW M3s, and like, dude, you know what I mean? Like, how? How? And I think we get into the comparison game where, like, I feel like I'm not doing enough because I see this highlight reel of all these people posting all these things. And I think that we have to realize that a lot of that is false.
100%.
Yeah, a ton of that is false.
Social media is the biggest lie of all.
Yeah.
And it goes into all perspectives, but just focusing on what you're saying, I completely agree. And sometimes it gets in my head.
Yeah, same.
Sometimes it gets me. I'm not going to lie.
Me too.
And you start questioning things. It's like, what can I do that's would cause me to get to another level? Like, but again, like you feel like once you reach these certain goals and check marks that you're gonna feel fulfilled, but you notice it's not the truth.
It doesn't. It's not the truth.
It's not the truth.
No.
And success brings more problems. Like the more money, more problems. Like you think that's not a real thing. It is a real thing.
It almost feels like the more money you make, the more expensive life gets.
Yes.
It's crazy how that happens. Like the flow of cash is just so much higher than from when I wasn't nearly making enough money. You know what I mean? But like, yes, like some things are different, right? Like I have a nicer house or a nicer car or whatever, but still it seems like these weird problems come out of nowhere. Like, dude, take for example, I gotta come have 2 thermostats installed in my house tomorrow because one of them is broken and it's causing my AC to like put on the heat and the cool at the same time. So it's giving me like lukewarm. Dude, it's like $1,000 for like 2 thermostats to be replaced. You know what I mean? I'm sure some AC guys listening like, that's crazy. I'll do it for 5. But this is like the company I have. It's like they're part of the house. I kind of got to use them. I don't know how to do it. So like shit like that, like things like that never used to pop up in my life before, I feel like.
And I that's another disadvantage. You would assume social media is and it is in a lot of ways a massive advantage if you use it the right way.
Yeah.
But from that standpoint, when you're going through people's highlight reels and you're playing the comparison game, it's the worst thing that you could possibly do. Yeah. And again, you're not even searching for it most times. It just pops up on your feed. You start watching and you start looking into this possible career shift.
Yeah.
And then once you get into that career shift, you discover that it's all just not what it was chalked up to be.
Yeah. And I think even beyond the career stuff, I think a lot of it is looks too.
Yes.
Like you we're getting, I'm 37 now. I'm getting to the age where like gravity is starting to do its job. I noticed a couple more lines in my forehead.
Yeah.
My hairline is not as closer to my eyes as they used to be. My beard is getting a couple more gray hairs that I'm more comfortable with. And you see like some of these people and you're like, damn, this dude's like 60. He looks like he's 30. He looks like he's younger than me. How is his hair so perfect like that? Or like, me in the bodybuilding circle, I'm like, how's this guy like this shredded, maintaining it this throughout the year? It's like you see all these things and you gotta, people like me, like I have to realize like this is most likely not reality.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? This is likely fabricated in some way, altered in some way, or this person could just be a serious genetic outlier and they won the genetic lottery in some way. And you can't really even compare to somebody like that.
I honestly didn't realize the amount of things that you could do, even to videos nowadays.
Which is so foreign to me because I've never done that.
Yeah.
I've never one time.
Because in your mind, you're like, why would you do that?
I've never one time altered a photo.
I didn't know. With photos, photos I always knew that you could do.
Yeah.
That to me makes sense. But now I'm seeing videos and I'm like, I don't even know how you do that. Are you you got to become a professional video editor?
Yeah.
But like girls making their butts look bigger, guys inflating their muscles. Like, again, in photos, I knew that.
For sure.
I knew that. And sometimes it's so obvious. It's like, do they even
you can see
check?
like the line, the waves and
I'm
shit.
sure you know the guy, Goop.
He's the master
big
at it.
fan of that guy.
Yeah.
The way he calls him out and just always points something out in the background. But it's like, do you not look at it before you
well, it's almost like they want you to just scroll and go, oh, wow, and then keep going.
Yeah.
They don't want you zooming in on every little thing.
But at the same time, like most of these people that are fabricating these stories and this outlook is like to sell courses. 90% of the time. And it's sad.
Or there is some sort of ulterior motive because then you have the girls who are like, subscribe to my OnlyFans.
Selling supplements or OnlyFans. There's always some sort of, like you said, ulterior motive that's underlying.
Yes.
But again, it's like a huge downfall for the younger generation that's coming up because they're getting into these career paths and assuming that they're going to make all this money and all their problems are going to disappear and they're going to live this lavish lifestyle.
Yeah.
And they go through the steps like getting, their license to sell life insurance or whatever the case may be. It's not easy and it costs them money. And then they're buying these courses and they're getting completely screwed over.
I see a lot of it happening with the OnlyFans girls too, man. They think like, oh, I'm just going to sign up, shake my ass on the camera and be a fucking bazillionaire.
Yeah.
And then all they ended up doing was exposing themselves to the whole world.
Yeah.
For a couple $100.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And just really just down, if anything, lowered their stock in life from doing something like that. You know what I mean? So I feel like there is one thing that we're kind of hinting at is like there's like this dream world when you grow up. You're thinking like when I grow up and enter this dream world, and you soon find out the reality of what adulthood really is, right? And I think one of those things too is your friend group. Right. So I had a distinct group of friends growing up. We were going to be friends forever. We were going to have a rock band and hang out until we were 80. You know what I mean? And the truth is, man, I speak to none of those people. There's one person from my childhood who I still speak to today. And as I've changed as a person, as I've grown, more people have entered my life and I've exited people out of my life. And, I think you start to, as you mature, you start to understand who you want around you.
Yeah.
And who is conducive to your goals and lifestyle and who is not. And it can be painful getting rid of some people in your life. It can be really difficult.
That was a major challenge for me.
Yeah.
And same thing. I grew up with I still have a small circle, will always have a small circle.
Same.
I'm a big believer of that. I think I have a ton of acquaintances, but very few friends.
Agreed.
Especially, I saw some recently, actually, I sent it to you because I consider you one of those friends.
Yeah.
It's like, I think it said there's a difference between a 5 p.m. or 6 p.m. friend and like a 3 a.m. friend.
Correct.
Meaning like there's a couple people I could count on one hand that I know that I could call no matter what time, no matter what's going on, that I could rely on.
For sure.
That there's a select few, and the other, 6 p.m. friends, it's like you talk to them here and there and
your boys, you know what I mean? But like
you can't rely on them.
Yeah. It just it's not as deep of a friendship.
Yeah. So that was a challenge for me, especially when I was going through the addiction thing and into my recovery stage. I had to make those choices.
Oh, for sure.
And it was definitely something difficult. It's not something that you necessarily want to do.
Yeah.
But different life paths, you know, different goals. You have people that move away.
Yes.
You and I are talking about the same person. Like Josh is that one person for both of us where he moved away, but we still, when we see each other, it's like nothing
ever happened. Yeah, exactly.
That's a real friend, you know, and it's few and far between. It's not super common.
No,
you know?
It's not. If anything, I mean, I don't know very many people who still talk to somebody they knew even just from like middle school. You know, I know people who like maybe have some friends from high school still, but like think about people you knew in like elementary, middle school. Do you talk to any of them?
Not only do I not talk to them, but I can't even remember names. Honestly, like
middle school,
middle school maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe a few from middle school, and honestly, some I still speak to from middle school, but not many at all.
Yeah.
And again, definitely not in that select few.
For sure. And I think that's something me and Josh talk about a lot, because it's like me and Josh have we have a unique friendship where it's gone on for so long and many seasons of it, you know, pissed at each other, fist fights when we were kids. He didn't talk to me for a few years, you know, like we've had our seasons, you know what I mean? But like, here we are. I mean, dude, I'm 37, literally known each other for over 30 years. We've been friends. Yeah, like, and it all started because his older brother punched me in the park by our house, you know? So it's just so funny how, like, you know, that sort of stuff is super rare. You know, it's not the average. The average is, unfortunately, a lot of people coming in and out of your life until you kind of figure out who you are. You know, and then you align your friends with your goals, like I said.
Yeah, I feel like that's the only way to do it. Like once you do mature, like you said, and
because I'll tell you what, it makes a humongous difference, man. You keep people
100%.
around that aren't conducive to your life, and it will bring you down, man.
You're not going to get to the level that you want to get to.
So fast.
It's just a fact.
Yeah,
it's a fact. At least if you're on a regular basis associating with them and doing the things that you know are not conducive.
Yeah.
You know, like, but inevitably it's going to happen. Like if you're continuing to hang out with that friend group that's going to the bars on the weekdays and on days that you know you shouldn't be going, it's just, you're gonna fall into it.
For sure. And a lot of people do. And honestly, a lot of people never come out of it. A lot of people like grow up physically, but they never grow up mentally. And I know so many people like that, where they're stuck in this young person's mindset. You know what I mean? And I think for everybody's a different chronological age before they become an adult here. You know what I mean? We all become an adult at 18, but not everybody really becomes an adult at 18. You know, we all have like a different number that we land on there where your brain finally goes, okay, now I get it. You know?
Well, I'm pretty sure that the brain, and we could have Mike fact check this, but I think it doesn't develop until you're like 25 or so.
I want to say it's 25,
right?
Yeah.
For at least for males, I don't know if that's both.
I think females are a little earlier.
I want
to say about like 22 or 23.
Yeah, we'll have Mike fact check that, but I'm pretty sure it's 25.
Yeah,
and that's pretty crazy to think. Like I didn't know that until pretty recently.
Yeah, and like I mean, it kind of lines up with my own life when I think about it. I didn't really kind of wake up until like.
Well, you said like
exactly, you know, around that time frame.
So it does make sense. But I would have, like, if you asked me that when I was like 19, 20, I would have been like, oh no, my brain's fully developed.
Yeah,
I'm
for
all
sure.
there.
Yeah,
like 25.
25. Yeah, I'm making excellent decisions.
What about females? Is it? I'm assuming they're a little ahead of us. Not to give them too much credit, but
they are though.
Definitely more mature and wiser sooner.
I noticed it even as a kid. Like they were. Like I was still laughing at like butts and farts and shit, you know?
Yeah, females are 21 to 23 years old.
Oh, yeah. Wow. Okay, yeah.
That's a humongous difference.
That's a pretty big difference, dude. 4 years?
Kind of makes sense though, because you know, you see girls who date up in age, you know what I mean?
Yes.
Like, and it's funny because guys always date down in
Correct.
age.
Not super common.
You know, for a guy to date up, you know what I mean?
It makes sense.
Yeah,
like, maturity level's not
it's
there
just
yet.
not on the same level. Yeah, exactly.
Another huge thing that I would say is like, especially growing up, you know, when I was younger, I used to lean way more into motivation versus discipline.
Yeah.
And I noticed like I talked a big game when like my friends that had kids when they were a bit younger, like then I had kids. I didn't have kids at the time, and I used to talk so much trash to one friend. Shout out to K-Ron. I used to talk so much trash about like him not working out, him not being in a gym, and I'm like, he would talk to me about it, and he'd say like, well, you know, I have kids, like it's not that easy. It's not, and I'm like, I talked all this trash.
You could figure it out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I was at a point where I had just one kid and I had a garage gym and I still found excuses to not get in there.
Yeah.
Because I just realized that the motivation factor, like what I used to fuel my whole life around, just it definitely fades. It disappears.
It can, yeah, for sure. That one is a little harder for me to relate with because the gym for me is it's my place to just be me, right? Like I don't have to like talk to anybody. I don't have to associate with anybody. There's no expectations of me. I just go in there and do what I need to do, and it's kind of just part of my life at this point. Like it's so built into my brain that not doing it is really just not an option. It's the same thing with my meal preps and all that stuff. I just wake up, pull the scale out, start doing my food. Like it's not even, it's automatic for me.
But that's the point though. It's a discipline for you.
Yeah, it really is.
It's a discipline.
Automatic. Yeah.
Like so obviously you're motivated,
Yeah,
right? Motivated
for sure. I have goals and stuff.
far more than me.
Yeah.
But the discipline factor is your biggest benefit.
Yeah.
You've created habits by being disciplined.
For sure.
You're one of the most disciplined people I've ever seen.
Yeah,
like I used to mess with you all the time,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
You show up to a birthday party and you have your meal bag on your hip.
Yeah.
Eating cold ground turkey and it's like I'm not there.
Yeah. Well, you know what?
I want to
man?
be there.
It's because when in the truth, and this is just the truth, if something matters enough to you, you'll find a way.
100%.
You'll find a way. Okay. And to me, bodybuilding matters. Like, and maybe it's changed now. I would say I'm a little less extreme now.
You're definitely more lenient
than I used to be. And I think that's just because I've realized that life can be rather short, and there are some things I should let my hair down for a little bit, But there were definitely many years there where like, dude, I'm not even tasting something if it's not on my meal plan. You know what I mean? And look, it got me the results. I got what I needed out of it. And I'm kind of at a place now where like I can be a bit more relaxed because of all those years, right? I have so much of that disciplined years built up underneath me that I have this firm foundation.
You won't fall off the track.
Well, yeah, to where I can play with it a little bit and it doesn't cause a mass casualty event.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that's something I try to instill in my clients. It's like, oh, you made it 1 week and you want like this big fat cheat meal.
Yeah.
I'm like, that's okay and all. And I teach that in my work where I'm like, I want to put that in there for you. But like, dude, like let's get like years under our belt, man. And then I can teach you how to do this by yourself. I can teach you how to like have a cupcake with your kid, or make cookies at night with your kid. Enjoy one, and then adjust your food for the next day. You know what I mean? Like I can teach people how to do that, but I don't like teaching beginners that stuff because then they've never built that level of consistency. They don't have any baseline to work from. Right? Everybody wants that prize at the end, but they don't want all that work.
Yeah. Again, instant gratification, right?
Yeah.
We want. Look, I still like. I've been in the gym for a long time, and I still don't accept the fact that it takes time to get where you need to be. I still, I still don't like it.
Yeah, it sucks, dude.
It sucks.
It sucks.
Like for me to not be able to get a 6-pack as quick as I did in, 10 plus years ago, it's still a frustration for me. I'm very impatient.
Yeah, well, I mean, not to throw off the whole thing, but there are these new things that are out. We can't say the names of them. They start with a P and end with an I.
Oh, we can't say the names?
No,
I want to do a whole episode on that.
I don't know. The YouTube gods do not like those
Really?
things. Yeah, we have to look, Mike, we have to look that up. See
if
we can do that.
We're going to have to find
because I'll tell you what, those are actual game changers in today's world.
I wanted to talk about it because I want to help the people.
And this is a guy who, like, I make my money off telling you what to do. And I'm telling you that these things can
make you not as relevant.
Yeah, well, no, I'm still relevant, but it can make things a bit easier.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They could take the burden off a little bit. For sure.
That's disappointing because I had that teed up in the tank to pitch to you to have an episode on that.
It says you can discuss peptides in educational or
He said the word.
informational context.
Yeah, maybe he said the word, so that means we're allowed.
Okay.
So if as long as it's educational and we're not promoting anything or doses.
Which it would be.
Yes.
That would be your episode, basically. I'll be asking you questions.
You can get
we all know how I operate.
You can get flagged if you sell peptides directly.
Yeah, we're not doing any of
link
that.
to places to buy.
I mean, we're not doing any of
discount
that.
code Billy 10.
Shut up. So we will do that because I think that's important. And I think that's an amazing.
It's a huge thing.
An amazing topic.
It is. It is.
If you're not on that boat, you're missing out.
Yeah, big time.
So all right, we won't get sidetracked, but I do want to talk about that. So I want to get back into what we were talking about. Like, do you think that your discipline does stem from the fact that you were in the bodybuilding world. You are in the bodybuilding world.
still
Like
in
you
it.
were, but that's my point. Like,
Yeah, I'm still in it.
Do you think that that's the biggest factor? I would assume it is.
It's definitely part of it. I mean, it's my life.
Yeah.
Like my livelihood depends on the bodybuilding.
That's my
world,
point. Your
right?
business too.
Correct. And not just, in working for Blackstone and selling supplements, like nobody cares. You know what I mean? Like it helps to know what
If
you're
you
talking
look-
about.
yeah.
But like the guy who did my job before me, he was not in any shape whatsoever, right? Maybe they trust me a bit more. Maybe that's why I'm doing better than him. They trust me a bit more in my recommendations.
Yeah.
But my coaching absolutely relies on how I look, how my clients look, more importantly. That shows the proof in the pudding. Like, hey, not only do I show you how to do this, but I live it too, man. Like, I'm never going to ask you to do something that I already haven't done like 100 times.
Yeah.
I know this part sucks. I know this upcoming phase is going to suck. But you know what, man? I've done it a bazillion times. If I can do it, you can do it.
So that's my point though, is like for the norm, for the people like myself, I'm not in the bodybuilding world. I honestly am at a point where I don't even care if I'm big anymore.
Right.
I used to care all about size. Now I just care about my overall health. And I do feel like that definitely is what kicked me back into the gym. After I went through all the surgeries, I just, kind of used that as a cop out in a way, for sure. Like, don't get me wrong. I definitely didn't belong in the gym for a certain period, but then it came to a point where I absolutely should have been back in the gym and I wasn't.
Yes.
So I guess my question is, like, for the people that are in the normal category, which is the majority, right? Like that
Vast
they're
majority.
they're not bodybuilding. Like how do you think that's how do you fix the lack of motivation because you're not a bodybuilder? Like if you don't have a goal, for me, like my wedding, remember my wedding, we did a crazy diet. People thought I was insane.
Crazy. Yes, I told him it was crazy.
But I did it.
Yeah.
And that's because I had a goal and I wanted to reach that goal. But when I don't have those goals year round, which is not super common, I struggle.
Well, you just gave yourself the answer. The goal, the key is having micro goals. Okay. And we do this in sobriety too. Like people will get sober and be like, oh, you mean I'm never going to be able to drink at my wedding? Like, bro, you don't even have a girlfriend. You're worried about your wedding, So it's kind of the same thing. Like, how about you just worry about not drinking today?
Yeah.
Okay. And it's the same thing with fitness. Like, okay, maybe we have a number on the scale which we shoot for, which I hate. Okay, I hate scale goals, but let's just, for the sake of convenience, use it. Let's say our goal is 5 pounds, right? Okay, man, let's focus on that 5 pounds. When we get to the 5 pounds, awesome, congratulations. Now let's focus on 5 more pounds. Okay, micro goals are the way you achieve long-term success. Because looking at something all the way over there is daunting, man. It's daunting, and people don't like that. People don't like, oh, you know what? Fuck it, I'm just not going to do it.
Exactly.
All right, but if my goal is 3 steps ahead of me, and when I make it, I feel a sense of pride. And I'm like, wow, I really did that. Maybe I can make it 3 more steps.
Yeah.
And then eventually you keep doing that, and you look behind you, and you've made it as far as you want it to go. So I think micro goals are absolutely key. And sometimes they can be daily. Like, look, dude, here's your macros. Hit these by end of day, no matter what. And at the end of the day, you hit them, you're like, man, I feel good about myself, So I think that's the key. The problem is a lot of people make these blanket statements like, oh, I just want to be able to fit in this dress, or, oh, I just want to get in shape. Like, yeah, I mean, those are goals, but let's get specific.
Yeah.
Okay, I want to fit in this shirt by this date, right? Just like it was for your wedding.
Yeah.
I want to fit in this tux by this date. Look how hard you worked for that, right? Imagine if right after that we were like, okay, now the goal is let's add an inch to your arms. Okay, let's keep our goals like that. And I'm just giving examples, right? So I think that setting those micro goals is the absolute key to success. And I think it's more, not even only the key to success in fitness, but into life, period.
I agree with that.
Life, period.
Yeah. No, as you're saying it, I'm like, this all makes sense. Because
Yes.
even I haven't done it for a while, and I probably should get back to doing the vision board concept. Every year I had a new vision board. And it makes sense because I would set these basically unattainable goals.
Correct. And you automatically set yourself up for failure.
100%. Because when you don't reach them,
and you're going to have a hard day,
Yeah.
and you're going to be like, fuck this shit, man.
yeah, and you get defeated,
Yep.
and then you just give up, and you
Yep.
don't even think about the vision board.
See,
Come March.
for me, even I've come to a point now in my life where, like, even when I come across an obstacle, and I've had many, dude, many, I don't let that defeat me, because I know that this is something I can just move forward from. Or if I can't move forward from it, I pivot from it. Okay. There's no reason that you can't get from A to B. There will be plenty of obstacles in the way. You just got to find your way around them, man.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Or pivot your goal slightly. It doesn't mean you have to change the goal entirely. Say you want to fit in the dress by May 1st. Okay, maybe we're not going to make it. Let's do May 10th. Okay, just slight changes.
Yeah. Give yourself some slack.
Exactly, man. Instead of the fuck it mentality.
Yeah.
That's where everybody falls.
That makes sense.
Falls short. You know?
That makes sense. Because I've been curious about that for a while. Because I've been struggling. You know,
Yeah.
You're my go-to guy talking about how many diets have you sent me, how many routines have you sent me, and it's like it's very difficult to do.
It is.
But the P word definitely helps, and I cannot stay tuned for that episode. I'm very excited about that. I guess one of the last points that I'll say is the illusion that money is the be all end all answer. And as I'm maturing and getting, deeper into fatherhood and wanting to be more present with my family, time is by far our most valuable asset.
Yes.
And I feel like if you don't get the work-life balance thing under control, you're just going to be way unhappier than you should be.
Yeah, and I think that it's finding happiness within that time, right? Because, I unfortunately know better than most that life can be way shorter than you expect it to be, okay? And something when I think about her, she lived her life happy.
Free spirit.
Happy, right? She didn't have much in the bank. She owed a lot of money to people. Her license was on the verge of getting suspended, right? But you know what? She woke up and she would go to the beach.
You would never know that.
She would never know, man.
Yeah.
She was happy and free.
Yeah.
And there's something to be said about that.
100%.
Right? I think she was a bit more on the extreme side of that. I would have appreciated a little bit more thinking ahead.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But I find that I can be the opposite of her, whereas I can be way too uptight about things, like meeting those goals that I have and having this amount of money, maintaining this physique, reaching this thing, having another source of income, you know what I mean? And and getting all these things done that I need to find that middle ground
Happy medium.
of, being appreciative of what I have, but still being motivated enough to get more.
Yes.
Right. And I think that's key. And it can be really difficult because as a competitive person, I get caught up in the next thing because as soon as I achieve something, I'm like, cool, what's next?
But that's another
Instead
thing.
of just kind of taking it in for a second. You know?
But that's another point that segues perfectly is you reach that goal and you tell yourself that you're going to be happy when you reach that goal, but it's never enough.
No.
It's never enough.
It's literally not
No
there.
matter what goal you reach, it's never enough.
And it goes to the old cliche that happiness comes from within, man. It really does.
But I'm a big believer in that now.
Yeah,
And
it
the
does.
work-life balance thing is extremely difficult. It's something that's still a work in progress for me. I told myself at least a couple days a week, I'm going to leave at 4:00. And it's non-negotiable.
Yeah.
And I have to do it and I want to do it because when I leave at 5:00, I don't get home till close to 6:00.
Yeah.
Luca goes to bed at 7:30. He has to eat dinner. He takes 40 minutes to eat dinner.
Oh yeah, Charles the same way.
So I get no time with him.
Yeah,
You know, and that sucks for me and it sucks for him.
Yeah.
You know, and it's gut wrenching. I saw recently actually a clip that hit me pretty hard, and it was I don't know if it was a legitimate story or made up, but it was really powerful. And it's a story about a son when his dad gets home from work. The son asks his dad for how much he makes at work, and he's kind of thrown off by the question, but he's like, I make $100 an hour. And then some conversation happens. The son asks for $50, and again he's thrown off by it. Why do you need money? He kind of has it out with him, and then eventually gives him the $50. And then he goes up to talk to him, and the son's spreading the money out, counting the money, and he counted up $100, gave it to the dad, and asked to pay for an hour of his time.
Yeah, I knew.
And I know I definitely butchered that a little bit, but you get the point.
The moral of the story, yeah.
And that got me, man.
Yeah.
That got me because I could see Luca doing that.
Yeah.
And that's all they want from us is an hour, even just an hour of our time.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's very difficult. I'll speak again from a personal place because that's all I can do. If I have a stressful day and I come home and I bring that stress in the door, it's inevitable that I not take it out on him, but I'm just not who I should be.
You're not being
moment.
the best you can be.
I'm not.
For sure.
I'm not who I should be in that moment. And sometimes I let him go to bed like that, and it eats at me. eats at me. I've had plenty of times where I wanted to go wake him up, and just let him know like I apologize, like, you know, and,
I actually have done that,
and try to explain it to him, you know. But that is something that I think is super common, and because I get that question a lot. It's like, how do you find work-life balance? And in my head, I'm like, I don't know, I don't have it. It's something that's a work in progress for me.
Do you feel like your parents had it?
No,
mine definitely did.
Absolutely not. My dad worked like 75 hours a week most times.
Yeah.
He was nonstop working.
Yeah, my mom was the same way.
And, you know, and my mom worked a ton too. And they got divorced when I was super young. I was like 4 or 5. And I remember that was the ongoing issue. Is like that, you know, so obviously there was no work-life balance. Again, I was too young to really understand it, but now looking back at it, no. And I don't see how you could when you're working that much.
Right. So it's one of those things where like, how do we ever know something if no one ever taught us it?
Yeah. Yeah.
You know,
and there's a laundry list of stuff that I
think that's one of the hard truths, you know, is there's so many things that you're kind of just expected to know. And like, no one taught me how to like manage money. No one taught me how to like play the credit game.
I was just gonna say.
No one taught me how to do a lot of these things. You kind of just got to flounder and figure it out, which is like super annoying. You know,
it's a hard lesson to learn on the fly too.
Yeah, it's really
right?
rough,
like,
man.
The credit thing was massive for me, and I had some issues that were caused by my mom using my card. It wasn't on purpose. If you see this, you probably don't even remember. But it wasn't even a major thing. It was like a small amount of money that was put on my credit card, and it happened to, you know, have a lapse in payment, and it tanked my credit, and it took me years to build it back up.
Mine's even shittier. I went to the hospital and I didn't have health insurance, and they banged me, dude. I had like 8 overdue like derogatory marks, and they were for like $50, $75, $100. And it was from like each person who came and saw me charged me for something, and I didn't have.
Don't get me on that topic.
The address was to Samantha's parents' house, and like, and I don't live there, you know, and like, dude, I opened my credit one day and about like 400. You know, I'm like, what the fuck?
That same exact thing happened to me with student loans. It was going to my dad's address. Again, he doesn't know, it's not on him to open my mail, but he also didn't tell me about it.
For sure, yeah.
I was living with a friend and rolling late payments. And it was something so simple. It was like $150.
Yeah.
And it tanked my credit. It took me years.
So long. It took me so long.
But one thing that's a huge misconception that I learned on the fly was I was petrified to use my credit card, right? I thought the logic was to not use the credit card. Stay away from credit cards. They're bad. It's the exact opposite.
It is, dude. I use it for
It's my debit card now.
Are you kidding me?
You might as well call it my debit card.
You just cut it in half.
Dude, I don't pull my debit card out.
I used it, man.
Can't remember the last time I used it. It's so big, and again, but this is not something that you learn in school.
No.
It's not something that your parents teach you unless they know about it, unless they're in the financial world.
No.
And it's so important. So if you haven't figured out the right way to use your credit card and how to build your credit,
that could be an episode.
Get to work.
Yeah, because that could really be an episode.
Get to work.
I'll tell you what, man, that the key is just using that shit for everything, and then you pay it off.
Pay it off immediately.
And man, my credit's like 800.
It's amazing.
Yeah,
it's amazing how
I can get anything I want.
How easy it is with consistency.
That's really it.
That's all it is. Time and consistency.
You use that credit card like it's money, like a debit card, like a debit card. Yeah, like you have to pay it by the end of the month.
Yeah, don't
just buy dumb shit.
And that's the thing.
Don't buy dumb shit.
Don't be spending money on your credit card that you don't have the money in your debit, your account. Correct. To pay the credit card.
Because that's the downfall. Because once it becomes a loan, that's where
good luck,
screwed.
buddy.
You are screwed. You just played right into their hand.
I don't even know what the interest rates are nowadays. 22, 24%.
27 on some
27.
cards. I mean, I have some cards, man, that are like 28, and like I have 800 plus credit score. And it's still 28.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
But if you, again, and this will have to be a separate episode, but if you get in the credit card game the correct way and you look for the right ones, they give you cash back. They give you all sorts of stuff. 6 to 12 months, no interest.
Whole vacations.
Yeah.
I've paid for hotel stays.
I'm still a rookie with that stuff.
Oh, man.
Like flights, I'm an idiot. I've been saying for 10 years now that I'm going to get a card that has whatever it is, miles. Mm-hmm. I still haven't done it.
Well, the only bad part about that is you have to pick an airline, which
I know,
sucks.
and which I don't like.
Which I don't like, man, because sometimes
you're tied to that one airline.
Yeah, man, you want to go to different places in the country, and the airline doesn't fly there, and like this is like their hub. It's a pain in the ass. Yeah, man, you know.
Yeah. So again, that's a long conversation, but It's just one of, again, the many misconceptions that we have growing up until you come into adulthood and you learn on the fly.
Yes.
So I guess the point is, like, if you feel like you're at a point where you don't have it all together, I would say it's more the norm than not, you know, especially nowadays. You know that now, if you're in your mid 30s and you still feel that way,
you're a little late.
Maybe a little behind.
Now, look, I will say one thing. It's never too late to turn your life
Agreed.
around.
It's
never
fixable.
too late to turn your life around, man. I mean, you could start your day over at any time. You can start your life over at any time.
Yes,
You can start
it's
figuring
fixable.
this out. But I think the problem is, as we get older, we get more set in our ways.
You're
And then the
scared to take chances,
likelihood
too.
Yes, and the likelihood of you turning things around becomes less and less and less and less and less the more comfortable you get with what you have.
Yeah, I would assume that that's most people's issue is the leap of faith, like the fear of the unknown.
For sure.
But you and I both know that that's like one of the biggest advantages you could have if done correctly.
Yeah.
Right? You have to make sure that you have things in place to be able to do that. But if you have the means and you could figure it out, I highly recommend you do it.
Yeah.
Highly recommend you do it.
Yeah. You know, I think one last thing is, you know, when we think about becoming like an adult and, you know, what that really entails, I always think back to what it was like being a kid. And I think that there's a heavy nostalgia factor for our generation. You know, like I mentioned before, and I'll say it again. If you were raised in the 90s and the early 2000s, you had the best childhood. Congratulations.
I'm not going to argue that.
You had the best childhood. Congrats. We had the best cartoons, we had the best toys.
Yeah.
It was just an excellent time to be alive. And I catch myself missing that as an adult.
All the time.
All the time. Where I'm like, man, if I could go back and have all those worries just not exist anymore.
And
like,
one
you
of
know,
the main things that I used to, like when I lived in an HOA neighborhood, I would drive around. There would be no kids outside.
Yeah, I mean, it's still like that.
It was non-existent.
Yeah.
And it was such a frustration for me. You know, again, my kid was younger at the time, but now he's getting to that age where I would love for him to be around the neighborhood.
Yeah.
And it's so sad that we do have to have that fear.
Yes.
Because there was a few scares in my neighborhood where like vans were trying to get little girls to, you know, be lured in.
And you lived in a very heavily gated neighborhood.
Yeah, there's at least 2 scenarios where something like that happened. One of them, actually, I'm going to take one of them back because we found out that the little girl lied for attention.
Oh, no.
Yeah, which is pretty crazy thing to lie about. But it's definitely a thing that's happening.
Yeah,
you know?
I know, for sure.
So you definitely have to be careful with what you let your kid do. But I that's the main thing that I miss is like from our childhood, riding the skateboard or getting my roller skates and just going Dude, we used to roll through Albertsons. Albertsons doesn't even exist anymore on Hillsborough on Powerline.
Yeah.
Roll through Albertsons and just be kids.
Dude, me and Josh rode our bikes to school.
Everywhere.
In elementary school. We would get on our bike, and it was probably a solid mile and a half away through major traffic lights to go to school. I would never let Charlotte do that, bro. Like, never.
Which does suck, though. It does suck that it has to be that way, you know?
It is what it is, man. I mean, maybe we're just more paranoid.
No, we're not.
Yeah, it is. It ain't happening. I'm not letting that happen.
While on this topic, the nostalgia topic, I think it's a good segue. The Mandela effect.
Yeah.
There is, and I want Mike to pull up the most common ones, but to name a few. And the Mandela effect is those things that you know were a thing, right? Like let's take Fruit of the Looms as an example.
That's the
and
most
we
classic
both agree on this.
Yes.
The Fruit of the Looms logo used to have a cornucopia in it.
It did have a cornucopia. It did. I had the underwear. I had the shirts. I had everything.
Nobody could tell me otherwise. And I've seen proof. I've seen video proof of someone finding a very old Fruit of the Loom shirt, and it was like a faded logo, but you see the cornucopia.
Yeah.
But it's confusing.
But
to
they're
me.
saying that doesn't exist.
Well, it's so funny. I saw a recent argument that says we're on a different timeline.
Yes. Yeah.
Very interesting.
Yeah, I've heard it too. The other one is the Monopoly guy not having the monocle. So look, do we not remember that Ace Ventura: Pet Detective?
100%.
The whole point, the whole reason he called that guy the Monopoly guy is because he had the monocle. When he was coming down the stairs
the tux.
in the movie, yes, he had the monocle. It's
I
what
could
made
literally
him the
picture it
Monopoly
right
guy.
now.
Me too. So how are you going to tell me it wasn't there?
Yeah.
Do you think it's just like a massive psyop?
Yes.
That they're trying to make us believe that these things didn't exist?
Yes, that's exactly what I think it is. I don't know why.
I don't know why. Who
Just
cares?
to piss us off.
Who cares?
But what's the other? Shazam.
Yes.
Shazam.
Yes. I can see the front of the cassette tape. Like, I know what it looked like.
So is there argument that that movie just does not
Straight
exist,
up
period?
Doesn't exist.
And
never made.
Is your memory that Sinbad was in it?
Sinbad was
Me
in
too,
it.
okay.
He was in it.
I know.
Yes.
And
he was in it. He had the kid. He was like in a. He was
in the
like
classroom, I remember one scene.
Yes, and he came out. The kid was in a basement, and there was like a little like genie thing, and that's where he first like
Remember
came to
that
life.
too.
Yes.
So they're just saying that movie doesn't exist as a whole.
Yes, they're saying it is a collective like disinformation thing.
That's what are the most common ones, Mike?
Star Wars, Darth Vader, Luke, I am your father.
Yes.
And what's the actual? So we
He
think it's
says-
Luke, I am your father.
yeah.
But what's the actual saying they're saying?
No, I am your father.
But what's weird to me is people go back and watch the movie over, and
Yes.
they say that it's true.
He does say that because in the scene Luke goes, he told me you killed him, because they're talking about Obi-Wan Kenobi, and he says, no, I am your father. So that is correct. I think people just quote the I am your father part. They leave out the no.
They
The
have
no
a,
was
they
okay.
have a
Sounds better.
Snow White mirror, mirror on the wall. That's another big one. And it says magic mirror on the wall. I kind of remember
What?
mirror, mirror on the wall.
I
I
100% remember
on the
Mirror,
wall.
Mirror.
Yeah, yeah.
But I
don't
was
buy that one.
also
I wasn't big
5
into
years
Snow
old.
White. I also wasn't big into Snow White. So maybe, I don't know, maybe it could be.
That one's believable.
Well, maybe it could be believable.
But again, when you're talking about logo changes, that's where I get pissed off.
Well, what about Kit Kat?
What's
Do you
that
remember
one?
it having a
The dash?
The dash?
Yes,
I do.
It doesn't.
it does. it
did.
in fact did have
It
that.
did.
Yes.
What else?
The Berenstein Bears.
I remember that one. Yes.
I don't remember that one as a kid.
I
I don't
remember
either.
reading it,
I
but
don't
I
know
don't
what
remember
you're talking
how
about,
it was
to be
written
honest.
out. I don't remember how it was written out.
What's that one?
So
It's Berenstein Bears.
Berenstein is what everyone thinks. EIN.
Yes.
And it's
Stain.
Stain.
Yes.
Berenstain.
Berenstain Bears. I remember reading the books, but I didn't remember how.
Also Febreze too. That's a big one. You know the Febreze.
Yeah, the spray. But what's the?
People remember Febreze with the BREEZE, but it's actually FBREZE.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I think I remember the double, but that's again. There's a few that I'm firm on.
Skechers.
The Monopoly guy. What's that one?
Skechers, how it's spelled. A lot of people thought it was SKETCHER.
Definitely did.
But it's actually SKECHERS.
I definitely remember a T.
What?
Definitely remember a T.
What?
Interesting.
Yeah, and I actually saw that the other day as a commercial, and it didn't look right.
Yeah.
It didn't look right.
Doesn't sound or look right.
Yeah, so it's a psyop. Is what you're saying.
I don't know. I don't know why, but they're brainwashing
Is
us
it
for
really,
something.
Is it that deep? Is the Monopoly guy that deep?
Apparently,
You know? I don't know.
I don't get it.
I don't get it either.
And the last main one is Pikachu. Do you remember his tail?
Yes.
100%.
Had the lightning tail.
I'm firm on that.
had
It
the
was
lightning
like the
tip.
brown or the black, right?
tip.
yeah.
When
Yes.
when it's actually solid yellow.
Dude, no, that's another one I'm going to stand firm on.
Yeah. There's got to be old toys or something we can look at to find out, because I specifically remember that too.
I don't get the logic, but it's confusing.
Yeah.
I thought it was a good segue.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, I guess, one of the things about being an adult is, you think you know some shit and you don't.
Yeah. This just
Maybe you
proves
really
our
don't know
point.
some shit.
This just proves our point.
All right, guys. Well, thank you for tuning in to episode 2 of the podcast. We got a lot of good feedback on episode 1 already. We
Yeah.
really appreciate all the support. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. Make sure you're tuning into all our episodes, even if you don't listen to it. Put the volume on low and just put it on in the background.
Yeah,
Please give us views. Okay, watch it over and over again.
Share with a friend.
Yes, exactly. Somebody could enjoy the podcast. Just
Use
like
it as background sound at work.
Yes.
Leave it on a loop.
perfect. It's perfect.
I appreciate you guys.
Peace out.